Hey traders, welcome to this week's Forex Focus, a show where we look at the currency markets and the major pairs in the currency markets, and we look at the opportunities that could be presenting themselves for the week ahead. Now, last week in the currency markets, there were some opportunities there. There were some pretty good ones to be able to take some tactical positions to take profits on. But in terms of the longer term direction, that still kind of didn't really establish itself. We did get an initial surge at the beginning of the week, but then by the end of the week, and particularly Friday, the markets were pulling back. So, on an overall trading front, I would still say that we're in the realms of looking for tactical shorter term opportunities. I don't think that there's a long-term trend that's emerged just yet, although there are some signs that that could emerge in the coming weeks. Out of the US on the data front, we said that we were going to pay attention to that last week. And it was kind of, well, I say it was a mixed bag, but it wasn't. There was a lot of negative data out of the US. So, we had the retail sales came out below expectations. CPI, so inflation did come down. However, that's a little bit negative for the currency because the way that reflects the central bank's interest rate policies is obviously going to be that they're not, the potential is that they won't hike rates as aggressively if inflation is starting to come down. So whilst on the one hand, you look at that and you say, well, that's a good thing. You don't want high inflation. From a currency trader's perspective, when you're looking at a particular currency pair or individual currency rather, you do want inflation to be higher because that means that the central banks are going to raise interest rates, which in the medium to long term is what really sort of drives that capital flow to or from a particular currency. So inflation came down, and then in conjunction with that, you had retail sales, which came in below expectations. And then the only thing at the end of the week was that the University of Michigan, the preliminary consumer sentiment survey came out, and that was above expectation. So that one's a little bit more forward-looking, what the surveys always are. Okay, so the hard data are looking at the data and the information that has actually come out and what the numbers actually are. Whereas when you look at the things like the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey, if you look at the ISMs, they're forward-looking. So that's sort of how people feel about the economy and about the various different areas of business. Which, as I said, it's not based on the hard numbers, but it's to do with what people think are going to happen. And that's also just as important because people tend to act and react accordingly. So that came in above expectations. That was pretty much the only thing that was positive last week. This week, we've got PMIs coming out all over the place. So, you've got it in Europe, in the UK, in the US. So we've got a lot of forward-looking numbers that are coming out next week, which, could have the potential to move the markets. But I think, the majority of the moves that we're probably going to be able to trade next week will be from a technical perspective. So let's jump over to the charts and let's walk through those opportunities. We'll start off with the Aussie dollar. So the Aussie dollar here, we were looking, if you look at this on the daily perspective, I've been saying that I've been looking for this to go short for a while now. Okay, I've been looking for a shorting opportunity. However, the market did break below the trend line on, where was that? So that was Monday of last week. It didn't give us a strong close. So it wouldn't have been an opportunity that we would have wanted to trade. And then obviously after that, the markets, it did pull back only for Friday for that to be reversed. And you'll kind of see this theme with the US dollar across the board. So Friday was a positive day for the dollar, and the rest of the week it kind of just lost ground. Now, what does that mean from this chart's perspective? Well, from a daily, you would have to say that you're still sort of bearish. And if we go out to a weekly there, so let me jump into a weekly chart, you can see that yes, it's still a bearish chart. It's still one that you want to look to sell into. However, if you look above here at the 4-hour chart, you can see that really you're in an area where you could, and you'd be within your rights to look for long opportunities should the market break out above 0.6807. So this resistance area over here. And then at the same time, we've still got this trend line in place, which I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to adjust that somewhat. Let's just jump this down to a daily chart over there. So I'm going to adjust this and bring this down to encapsulate this most recent price action over here. So we can pretty much trade the Aussie dollar in both directions. If we get a break above, then you look for a long opportunity. If we get a break below the trend line, then you get a shorting opportunity. But I have to stress that the break has to be a momentum break. So if you end up with a candle like this one over here, where it broke, but it didn't do it with any real momentum, then that's not a break for me. That's just, time elapsing and the market happening to go through that particular trend line. We really want to see one side of the market in control in order for us to be able to get in there and to be able to take our opportunity. Okay. The next one we'll go and take a look at is we've got the Aussie dollar. So the next one is the euro dollar. The euro dollar here we can see broke out, as we said, it was positive. So it's the same story across the board. Monday we had a bit of a meh day, didn't really do too much. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we saw the market really start to rally. Then Friday it sold off a little bit, which that sell-off there, it may not be the fact that the markets were particularly positive towards the dollar. That sell-off there could be that everybody was long, everybody made money throughout the week trading the dollar to the downside, so selling the dollar, i.e. buying the euro dollar, for example, buying the Aussie dollar, etc., and then them just taking profits ahead of the weekend. That's what that could be. But we'll see on Mondays, so when the markets open tonight and Monday's trading, if that is actually the case. But I think with all of these for the moment anyway, it's really going to be a case of buying the dips, or if you're looking at something like the dollar CAD, dollar franc, dollar yen, it will be selling the rallies. Okay, so I think that dollar weakness is probably going to continue to be there on the horizon for the foreseeable future. Obviously, the data can come out and that can change our view. So in a few weeks' time, we may say, well, actually, it's looking like the dollar is going to get a little bit more love, and that's absolutely fine. As traders, we have to be open to that, but at the same time, we have to be there and we have to react to the data that we see in front of us. And that was something that I learned fairly early on, is that whilst you can have a view and you need to be committed to the view, you have to have the balance where if that view changes, if data comes out to the contrary to what your particular view is at the moment, then you have to be willing to shift. But at the same time, have that balance to not always be sat there waiting for the sentiment to shift, but to take advantage of the opportunities that we have right now. And right now, the opportunities say that we need to be doing things like buying the euro dollar, buying the Aussie dollar. So what we need to see here is that the market on the euro dollar, you can see here, it reacted to a heavy level of resistance over here, which was printed on the 2nd of February. It got out above there, and then it was immediately sold into. So we're going to want to watch the price action here. It's going to be a case of do nothing below this level, but if the market breaks above this level, then look for a long opportunity. And you're going to see that it's a very similar sort of story there for the pound dollar as well. So the pound dollar, we can see here, you had the nice opportunity on the 4-hour charts, the short-term tactical one, you would have been able to take profits here, similar way to the euro dollar. But then at the end of the week, the market sold back below that level. Again, we have to react to the information that we see in front of us, and the information we see in front of us is bullish. Now, we're bearish beneath this level, but we don't have an opportunity to sell beneath this level unless you're going to drill into, a 15-minute chart, a 1-hour chart, or whatever. And that's your prerogative. Absolutely, you can do that. But if you're swing trading the markets, it's a case of, while the market is below here, it's do nothing. If the market breaks out above, then we can look for a long opportunity. We can look for buying opportunities there. If we look into the New Zealand dollar, so this one is a little bit different. Okay, so whereas with the euro dollar, the pound dollar, even the Aussie dollar to an extent, we did see a bit of a rally. The New Zealand dollar actually hasn't done much at all. So the New Zealand dollar has just sort of pretty much stayed in one place. Now, from an opportunity perspective, I think that looking at the overall energy of this market here, yes, we could be buying to the upside. So a break above this level here, you could look for a long opportunity. But looking at this, the makeup of this chart over here, it's probably likely that we'll get a break beneath this trend line. And if we do, then we can look for a shorting opportunity. And that might be quite a good way to play this, because if we're looking to get long on the pound dollar, for example, long on the euro dollar, Aussie dollar, as I said earlier, we kind of could be trading in both directions. I just jumped back to that chart there to show you. So we had the break below this trend line here as a short and a break above as a long. The euro dollar and the pound dollar, we were saying, well, we'll do nothing below the level, but if it breaks out above, then we want to buy it. Same for the pound dollar. The New Zealand dollar, really, if we do get the shorting opportunity, it could be a little bit of a good hedge. So if you went long something like the pound dollar and the euro dollar and you offset that with a short on the New Zealand dollar, then you'd be able to take all of those opportunities, but they wouldn't necessarily be correlated because you're taking a different view on the New Zealand dollar as to what you would be on the euro dollar. The dollar CAD gave us a nice opportunity. So we had a big sell-off over here on a break of this trend line. So that was a fairly obvious opportunity. We still want to maintain our short bias. However, what we need, just got rid of, hold on, give me a second here. Let's get back in there. Just managed to delete the dollar CAD from my watch list there, which is not something that I like to do. So let's just get that back in the right place. There we go. Okay. So now if we move on to the dollar franc, we were New Zealand dollar. So dollar CAD, we have this sell off over here. We want to remain short. Now what we want to do with this is if we take a look at this support level over here. So we've got this support that the market has sort of been playing with. So this is going to be a very, very big level. You could see one of two things happen here. I mean, I guess you can always see one of two things happen in the market. So the market's either going to break through there or it's going to bounce from it. But this is a key level. So you should see a cluster of orders set up in and around these levels. So we would expect momentum in either direction. Now, I think looking at this and looking at the general sentiment towards the dollar, the most likely move will be a break below there. But I don't want to take a short just yet, even though we do have the energy here. I want to wait for the markets to break below the support level over here at the 1.3244. Once it gets below that level, then I'll be looking for shorting opportunities. If we start to get a bounce above this level and so like reversal price action, a 1, 2, 3 reversal or something along those lines, then I would look for a short-term buy above here. I think that ultimately it does go beneath this level. It might be that we get a little bit of support here. The market will bounce up a little bit naturally, and then it will break down from there. Looking at the dollar franc, so the dollar franc here, if we take a look, we've broken through this big level of support over here. So if you were looking to go short on any one of these, it probably would be better to pick up the dollar franc. We are sort of at that level, but as long as the market holds below this level here and gives us another momentum candle to the downside, then I think that will be a good opportunity to take advantage of. So to get in there and sell that, perhaps you have to wait for the dollar CAD to break through the big level in order for you to be able to take it. So if you're looking to short the dollar against one of these, and this might be one of the good ones to go for. The franc, has actually been one of the strongest performing currencies. So from that perspective, if you pair a week with a strong currency, you use sort of like parallel and inverse analysis. And this is going to be one of the better ones that you could look to take advantage of. Now, the dollar yen here, we can see is sort of in the middle of no man's land. I still think that long term, so if we go back or if we look at this video in a year's time and look back at where we are right now, I think the dollar yen is lower than where it is at this particular moment in time. So from that perspective, I'm still looking for shorting opportunities. Of course, as I said in the beginning of this video, we have to react to the market, to the data. So if we do get an indication the market is moving higher, of course we look for long opportunities here. But my longer term view, my 6, 9, 12-month view is that this actually goes lower, and I just want to be ready for that. So yes, we can look for, zoom in here on the 4-hour chart, there might be some tactical opportunities to go long here, particularly if we get everybody that's been negative towards the dollar over the past few weeks sort of unwinding their positions. We might get some tactical long opportunities in the dollar yen, but I think that in the long run, all of the rallies will be opportunities to sell into them at a better price. Okay? So that wraps it up for this week's Forex Focus. I hope that makes sense to you all. I hope you kind of follow along with all of that. There aren't a lot of opportunities that we can take, immediately on Monday morning, but there are a few things out there that we can look into to take advantage of. As I said at the beginning and towards the end there, we just need to make sure that as much as we are obviously looking to see what could happen in the next few weeks, the next few months, that doesn't stop us, it doesn't prevent us from taking valid opportunities when they present themselves right now. Okay, so even though I say I think the dollar yen is going to be lower in 6 to 9 months' time, if we get a breakout to the upside, then we take advantage of that, because that's what's happening right now. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell so that you get a notification as and when I release one of these videos. If you want to learn more about my approach to trading the markets, then hop along to my website. I will post a link in the description below this video here. You can sign up there for one of my free masterclasses where I will talk you through my whole trading approach. What I'm doing now as well is holding some live trading sessions, some live analysis sessions and things like that, which you'll be able to join for free as well if you're part of my community. So if you haven't already, jump across there. I'm sure you're going to enjoy the content. You'll get a lot of value out of it, and it will make you a better trader after all. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, post it beneath the video. Otherwise, I will see you in next week's one. Take care now, and I'll speak to you all soon.